In the realm above, so too it is below. As the inner world unfolds, so the outer world mirrors it. This age-old Hermetic truth, voiced in the words of the Emerald Tablet, beckons us to perceive beyond surface appearances, to grasp that the microcosm and the macrocosm are not distinct entities, but twin aspects of the same universal reality. The very intelligence shaping galaxies also fashions the atoms within our beings. Today, we shall delve into the profundity of this universal principle and its connections to recent scientific advancements, alongside the timeless wisdom of mystics and thinkers throughout history. We will comprehend how this tenet can be applied in our lives to evolve into more complete and aware individuals. This law, recognized as the principle of correspondence, posits that reality in all its dimensions possesses a fractal structure. This Hermetic axiom proposes that everything in existence is interconnected, and that each fragment of the entirety reflects the entirety. For instance, the cells of our bodies contain the identical genetic code that constitutes the whole organism, and each cell, in a sense, represents a miniature version of the body. Similarly, the motion of galaxies echoes the movement of atoms and electrons within their nuclei, illustrating that universal laws remain consistent, whether on astronomical or subatomic levels. The law of correspondence instructs us to view the universe as a vast mirror. To understand reality, begin by observing yourself. Just as the macrocosm influences the microcosm, our internal condition shapes the world surrounding us, revealing a potent key. By transforming our inner landscape, we consequently transform our outer experience. From a spiritual standpoint, as above, so below, guides us to a profound realization of the oneness of all things. Jesus Christ, in his wisdom, declared, "The kingdom of God is within you," Luke 17 verse 21. Just as the cosmos harbors within itself the potential for all things, the human being, in their inner microcosm, holds the seed of the divine. The human mind serves both as an observer and as a creation of the universe. Just as the cosmic whole expresses itself in every atom, the human being stands as a reflection of the cosmos in its totality. Jesus' Hermetic philosophy asserts, each person is a microcosm, a small universe that, as it expands, connects and harmonizes with the greater universe. This highlights the significance and responsibility of tending to one's own mind, thoughts, and emotions. By doing so, we also care for what lies beyond us. The philosopher Plotinus affirmed, the more a person understands themselves, the more they understand the universe and that which transcends it. This notion resonates with the Hermetic principle that, to comprehend the cosmos, we must first unveil the universe residing within us. Spiritual philosophy conveys that our internal state, thoughts, emotions, beliefs, functions as a lens molding our perception of the external realm. If we are at peace, we perceive the world peacefully. If we are in conflict, the world around us appears hostile and discordant. This understanding reveals that the boundaries we perceive between the self and others, or between humanity and the universe, are illusory. In actuality, we are integral to a larger whole, and our inner experiences are in constant interaction with external events. Thus, by reshaping our inner universe, we adjust our relationship with the outer one. For mystics, grasping as above, so below, entails recognizing that everything existing in the cosmos also exists in potential within us. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist and scholar of symbolism, frequently referenced on this channel, elucidated that the personal unconscious of the human being mirrors the collective unconscious, a repository of images, ideas, and archetypes that influence our experience of life. Just as the cosmos undergoes perpetual movement and transformation, the inner universe of each human being is dynamic and vibrant. By exploring this inner universe, individuals not only uncover aspects of themselves but also connect with archetypal forces and universal truths that permeate the entire cosmos. Therefore, the spiritual journey is a voyage of return to this universal center dwelling within us. Just as the principle of as above, so below, confirms the correspondence between the macrocosm macrocosm and the microcosm, it also implies an integration of spirit and matter, of being and doing, of the internal and the external. Paracelsus, a prominent alchemist and natural philosopher, stated that self-understanding marks the initial step toward comprehending all things. For alchemists, the ultimate aim of self-knowledge is union with the entirety. By transmuting our inner lead, fears, doubts, limitations, into gold, wisdom, peace, self-mastery, we align with the divine current of the universe. This constitutes the alchemical process, the endeavor of harmonizing the celestial with the terrestrial and perceiving matter and spirit as unified. The principle of correspondence invites us to perceive the universe as a sequence of layers and realities that reflect one another. It suggests an intimate connection between diverse planes of existence and that occurrences on one level of reality have reflections, parallels, or resonances on others. Within the context of the duality between spirit and matter, the second Hermetic law unveils that spirit and matter, though seemingly opposed, are fundamentally reflections of the same essential reality. The material world we encounter is a reflection of forces, ideas, and laws operating on the spiritual plane, such that matter resembles a shadow or expression of the subtle laws and energies of spirit. According to the principle of correspondence, spirit represents the original or causal plane where all ideas and energies originate. Matter, then, serves as a reflection of this origin, shaped by the invisible laws and patterns of spirit. Envision spirit as the source and matter as the image projected by this source. Matter exists solely as a function of the presence and movement of this underlying spiritual energy. Thus, the visible world is molded by the unseen forces of the spiritual plane, much like a statue is sculpted from an idea. Similarly, any transformation or alteration we wish to witness in matter commences, primarily, on the spiritual plane, whether through intention, vision, or the mind. An illustrative example of this relationship resides in nature itself. Consider DNA, an invisible structure to the naked eye, yet one containing all the necessary information to construct a complex physical organism. This connection between DNA and the physical body mirrors the correspondence between spirit as the source of information and energy, and matter as the manifestation of this essence. By aligning our minds and intentions with spiritual laws, we can influence and shape matter according to our volition. However, this does not imply controlling or manipulating material reality. Rather, it is a process of attunement. When we recognize that matter is simply a condensed form of spirit, we realize that profound transformations occur when we operate directly on the spiritual plane, that is, on the level of our intentions, thoughts, and beliefs. For instance, someone desiring prosperity might understand that this abundance originates in the spirit through a mind generating beliefs of self-worth, confidence, and gratitude. By nurturing these spiritual and mental frameworks, the reflection in the material world inevitably manifests, even if gradually and subtly. Life unfolds as a continuous interplay between spirit and matter, where the objective is not to negate one in favor of the other, but to acknowledge and harmonize both. True alchemy, therefore, lies in integrating the spiritual realm with material existence, recognizing that each facet of our physical being possesses a spiritual counterpart, and that each spiritual experience can be lived out in matter. This signifies that the quest for meaning and purpose, often linked with the spiritual plane, must find practical expression in our daily lives. When we cultivate the spirit through practices of self-knowledge, such as meditation and introspection, we simultaneously establish a stronger foundation for a fulfilling, aligned material life brimming with significance. Ultimately, the principle of correspondence reminds us that the duality of spirit and matter is, at its core, an illusion fashioned by our limited perception. Both are expressions of the same universal truth. Just as light passing through a prism separates into various colors, spirit manifests in matter without losing its fundamental essence. This understanding fosters profound spiritual liberation, as we recognize that by fully engaging with the material plane and honoring physical life, we are also expressing the spirit. The purpose of our spiritual journey, then, is not to evade matter, but to transcend it, perceiving it as a reflection of spirit in motion. The Hermetic maxim, as above so below, transcends a purely philosophical or esoteric concept. It also manifests distinctly and objectively within natural phenomena. Observing the natural world reveals that identical structures and operational patterns found on small scales recur on vastly larger dimensions. This correspondence between the microcosm and the macrocosm is not merely symbolic, it is imprinted in the fundamental patterns governing matter and energy. One of the most illustrative examples of as above so below in nature is the phenomenon of fractals. Fractals are forms that repeat across different scales and can be observed in both minute objects and colossal structures. Natural geometry provides evidence that the same patterns structuring the universe in its immensity are present in the minutiae of the natural world. Consider, for example, the spiral symmetry of the Nautilus shell and compare it to the form of a spiral galaxy. The same Fibonacci mathematical sequence organizing the growth of a flower's petals also applies to the arms of galaxies. The principle of as above so below becomes evident in this repetition of patterns, demonstrating that nature adheres to a universal order. This mathematical organization is widely known as sacred geometry, a cosmic language structuring everything from the movement of subatomic particles to the growth cycle of plants and the formation of star systems. Nature operates through cycles that mirror one another, from the smallest organisms to the largest ecosystems. The cycle of life, birth, growth, death, and renewal stands as one of the most universal examples. Just as the seasons shift in a perpetual cycle, all living beings experience a version of this cycle in their own existence. Within the human body, for instance, the circulatory system acts as a microcosm of Earth's hydrological system. Just as rivers flow to the ocean, blood flows to the heart and subsequently to the rest of the body, nourishing and connecting all parts. Both follow a similar principle of flow and return, illustrating that the macrocosm, Earth, and the microcosm, human being, are organized by the same underlying intelligence. This correspondence between the micro and the macro also manifests in the cycles of sleep and wakefulness, in the rhythms of cellular activity, and in planetary rotation, indicating that the principle of correspondence serves as a fundamental code in all vital processes. Another clear instance of as above, so below appears in the structure of atoms in solar systems. The nucleus of an atom, encircled by revolving electrons, closely resembles the Sun at the center of a planetary system, with planets in orbit. This similarity has prompted some scientists and mystics to propose that the fundamental structure of the universe might be repetitive and holographic, with the same pattern recurring on subatomic and cosmic scales. This analogy unveils an ordered universe where the microcosm and macrocosm reflect each other. The philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras believed that number constitutes the principle of all things, suggesting that reality is structured by mathematical and geometric principles applicable to both the vastness of galaxies and the most insignificant particle. In the realm of consciousness, scientists like David Bohm, a physicist and collaborator of Albert Einstein, introduced the concept of the hollow movement. Bohm suggested that reality is not composed of separate entities but rather of an indivisible wholeness, where the parts are not isolated but reflections of a greater and indivisible reality, akin to a hologram. In essence, each part of the universe contains the whole, reflecting the idea that events at one level of reality influence other levels. Benoit Mandelbrot, the mathematician of the last century who discovered fractals, revealed how these patterns represent a fundamental characteristic of diverse systems. Viewing the universe through this fractal lens, each small component appears as a scaled-down version of the entirety. Thus, as above, so below evolves from a mere philosophical metaphor into an observable phenomenon in the natural world. The law of correspondence illustrates how the external world, our outcomes, our health, our physical appearance, serves as a direct mirror of the inner world, encompassing our beliefs, intentions, and Crucially, our daily habits. Every minor action we repeat embodies our mindset, and when accumulated, it materializes a tangible, invisible reality. Just as a stone cast into a lake generates spreading ripples, our habits and thought patterns resonate and mold our body and our life. In other words, our physical, emotional, and even financial state results from a reflection of what we consistently nurture within. Each facet of our existence stands as a manifestation of what we believe, desire, and practice daily. A disciplined mind forms the fertile ground for cultivating healthy and consistent habits. An individual with a disciplined mindset, possessing clarity of purpose and goals, reflects this inner order in their physique. Mental discipline translates into concrete actions, regular meal times, physical exercise, and practices that nourish and fortify the body. Consequently, the body becomes an expression of this organized mind, healthy, strong, and balanced. Conversely, a disorganized mind, easily succumbing to distractions and lacking priorities, tends to foster detrimental habits. This type of mentality is reflected in a body exhibiting signs of disorder, excess weight, chronic fatigue, health issues. When internal discipline wanes, the inclination leans towards seeking immediate gratification, processed foods, excessive sedentary behavior, insufficient sleep, which, despite offering momentary satisfaction, leads to long-term physical and emotional decline. Consider someone who habitually procrastinates, postpones exercise, and disregards the quality of their diet. This person mirrors a state of mental disorganization in their physical form. Excess weight and persistent fatigue then become expressions of the undisciplined and disordered mind. As the Greek philosopher Aristotle wisely noted, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Each small action, when repeated daily, carries profound significance. The individual who dedicates a few moments daily to self-care, learning, or physical exercise sows seeds that, over time, yield an abundant harvest. Small acts of care and discipline, when compounded, culminate in significant achievements and a richer life. To an external observer, a substantial physical or mental transformation might appear as the result of something drastic, yet in reality, it reflects numerous small acts performed with consistency and intention. Profound transformation occurs when we comprehend that success or failure are, in fact, the outcomes of minor choices made daily. A simple habit, such as drinking more water each day, might seem insignificant in isolation. However, over months, it can alter a person's skin, energy levels, and overall well-being. This exemplifies the principle of correspondence in action. Small acts originating in the microcosm of the mind manifest in daily life and subsequently create profound changes in the macrocosm of life. To transform external outcomes, whether concerning the body, health, or relationships, it is essential to begin internally, with the mind and spirit. This constitutes the power of the principle of correspondence. By shifting our mindset and nurturing beliefs of discipline, self-care, and self-love, our daily habits commence reflecting these internal shifts. And gradually, our external environment adapts to this new internal configuration. Those possessing clarity of purpose and direction, those knowing what they aspire to build and achieve, cultivate habits that sustain that path. A robust body, a clear mind, and an organized life stand as reflections of a soul that has discovered a reason for being and expresses it through every minor action. Contemplating the principle of correspondence allows us to understand that this ancient wisdom transcends mere theoretical reflection. It offers a guide for living with greater harmony, authenticity, and intention. Applying this principle to everyday existence can aid us in aligning our inner world with the outer world, fostering clarity, emotional equilibrium, and well-being. Just as the universe organizes itself into cycles and harmony, we too must seek this balance within ourselves. At its core, the universe resembles a vibrant melody, and each of us is a note, resonating within the harmony of the whole. Our inner state manifests outwardly. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our daily habits are the invisible threads weaving the reality around us. The principle of correspondence reminds us that we are the architects of our own existence. Our consciousness is the clay, and our actions the tools. And thus, like a mirror reflecting the starry expanse in the tranquil waters of a lake, life responds precisely to what emanates from our soul. If we seek peace, let us cultivate serenity. If we desire strength, let us nourish it with discipline. And if we yearn for love, let it blossom within us as a pure and inextinguishable flame. Let us always remember, what we cultivate within ourselves, the world will return to us in reflection. As above, so below. As within, so without. May every choice we make serve as a silent and intentional prayer, echoing in eternity and bringing forth the highest expression of our being. Thank you for watching.